unspoken tension, a palpable sense of unease that settled over the concert hall. The stage lights dimmed, casting long, ominous shadows across the hushed crowd. A lone figure emerged, bathed in a single spotlight, his face etched with a haunting sadness. Phil Collins, the opening chords of In the Air Tonight, echoed through the hall, a melancholic melody that sent shivers down the spines of those who knew the dark secret behind the song. The legend, whispered in hushed tones, spoke of a drowning, a tragic event witnessed by Collins himself. A young boy, struggling in the water, his cries for help growing weaker with each passing moment. And on the shore, a figure stood watching, close enough to save the child, yet frozen in inaction. Collins, too far away to intervene, watched in horror as the boy slipped beneath the waves, his life extinguished before his eyes. The song, they said, was a testament to that night, a haunting lament for a life lost, and a chilling indictment of the silent witness. The lyrics, imbued with a raw, visceral emotion, hinted at the darkness that consumed Collins, the burning rage and the agonizing helplessness he felt. The iconic drum solo, a primal scream of anguish, a cathartic release of pent-up emotion. But the legend didn't end there. Whispers turned into rumours, embellished with each retelling. Some claimed Collins had tracked down the person responsible, confronting them in a dramatic showdown. Others spoke of a curse, a supernatural retribution visited upon the silent witness. And then, the most chilling variation emerged, a story that sent shivers down the spines of concert-goers. They said Collins, during his performances of In the Air Tonight, would sometimes single out a member of the audience, someone he believed to be the guilty party. The spotlight would shift, illuminating their face, exposing them to the judgment of the crowd. As Collins sang, his voice filled with a chilling intensity, the lyrics taking on a new, accusatory meaning. The silent witness, they said, would be revealed, their dark secret exposed to the world. Tonight, as Collins sang, his eyes scanned the crowd, a flicker of recognition in their depths. The spotlight shifted, landing on a lone figure in the back, their face pale and drawn. A collective gasp rippled through the audience. The figure, bathed in the harsh glare of the spotlight, looked eerily familiar. A face Collins hadn't seen in years. The face of the boy who had drowned. Tonight we journey to the misty moors of Cornwall to uncover the legend of the beast of Bodmin Moor. Relax, unwind, and let this mysterious tale help you drift into sleep. The beast of Bodmin Moor is a popular folklore legend from Cornwall, England, centred around sightings of a mysterious, large, black cat-like creature. First reported in 1978, the legend of the beast quickly gained traction as locals began to claim encounters with a phantom panther or leopard-like animal roaming the wild expanses of Bodmin Moor. This eerie creature was said to have sleek black fur, glowing eyes, and a muscular build, often compared to big cats that typically wouldn't be found in the English countryside. The beast of Bodmin Moor gained further notoriety, with reports of mutilated livestock, particularly sheep, that appeared to have been slain by a large predator. Farmers and locals were alarmed by these unexplained killings, which led to speculation that a dangerous wild animal was on the loose. The creature was believed to be responsible for these let's journey into the mysterious world of the Boo Hags, a spine-chilling urban legend from the gullah culture. Relax, close your eyes, and let this eerie tale guide you into sleep. The legend of the Boo Hags originates from the gullah culture, deeply rooted in the coastal regions of South Carolina and Georgia. These skinless, vampire-like witches are said to be evil souls who remain in the mortal world after death, seeking out the living to continue their existence. Unlike traditional vampires, Boo Hags don't drain their victims of blood. Instead, they feed off their breath, leaving their prey exhausted and lifeless. According to the legend, Boo Hags are born from wicked souls who fail to move on to the afterlife. Without their skin, they appear grotesque, raw, red and sinewy, making it impossible for them to blend in with the living. To navigate the human world, Boo Hags steal the skin of their victims, slipping it on like a disguise. Once they've taken someone's skin, they go out into the night to ride. This is a term used to describe their haunting behaviour, where they visit the homes of unsuspecting victims and take control of their bodies while they sleep. The process begins when a Boo Hag silently enters a home, usually through cracks or open windows, as they are believed to be capable of squeezing through the smallest of spaces. Once inside, they sit on the chest of their sleeping target, feeding on their breath and life energy. As the Boo Hag drains its victim, the person will experience intense nightmares, leaving them physically weakened by morning. While the Boo Hag feeds, the victim is paralysed, unable to move or wake. By dawn, the witch leaves its victim, slipping away before anyone realises what happened. However, Boo Hags have a weakness. They must return the skin they've stolen before sunrise, or they will be exposed and destroyed by daylight. If caught without their skin, they are vulnerable and can be easily defeated. To protect themselves, people in gullah communities often took precautions to ward off these sinister beings. One method involved placing a broom by the door or scattering rice on the floor, as Boo Hags are said to be compelled to count small objects. If a Boo Hag becomes distracted by counting, it won't have enough time to finish before the sun rises, forcing it to retreat to avoid being caught. Another common belief is that painting windowsills and doors blue, a colour thought to repel evil spirits, can keep Boo Hags from entering a home. The colour, known as haint blue, is a staple in many gullah households, used to protect against a range of supernatural threats, including Boo Hags. Those unlucky enough to fall victim to a Boo Hag may wake up feeling completely drained, as if they've run a marathon in their sleep. The exhaustion is a telltale sign that a Boo Hag visited during the night. If a Boo Hag becomes particularly attached to a victim, they may return night after night, eventually leading to the victim's death through sheer exhaustion and depletion of life energy. The Boo Hag legend is a chilling reminder of the dangers lurking in the shadows of the night. It warns people to be cautious, vigilant, and to protect themselves against malevolent spirits that may be waiting to take their skin for a deadly ride. The story continues to be passed down through generations. Tonight, we journey to Iowa City, where the eerie legend of the Black Angel awaits. Let the mysterious tale of this cursed statue guide you into a peaceful and restful sleep. Black Annis, also known as Black Agnes or Black Anna, is a chilling figure in English folklore, described as a terrifying hag with a blue face, sharp iron claws, and a fierce hunger for human flesh. She lurks in the shadows, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. According to the legend, Black Annis once once lived in a cave in the Dane Hills near Leicester, which she is said to have carved out herself using only her iron claws. The entrance of her cave was surrounded by a large oak tree, from which she would emerge to hunt her prey. Her most infamous targets were children and young animals. The legend says that Black Anis would creep into the nearby villages under the cover of nightfall, dragging children back to her cave to devour them. She would skin her victims and hang their hides on the branches of her oak tree, using them to make clothing for herself during the harsh winters. Parents in the area used the tale of Black Anis as a way to scare their children into behaving or staying indoors after dark. The mere mention of her name would be enough to keep children obedient and fearful of wandering too far from home. Some versions of the legend claim that Black Anis could stretch her long arms through windows to snatch disobedient children from their beds if they didn't close their shutters at night. Despite her terrifying reputation, Black Anis also played a role in explaining natural phenomena. Her dark cave, according to local law, was believed to be an old burial site or a den she carved in the hillside. Some believed that her presence symbolised the harshness of nature, particularly the long, unforgiving winters that plagued the countryside. Over time, the tale of Black Anis grew in popularity and spread beyond the villages, becoming part of Leicester's folklore. Some say her spirit still haunts the area, while others believe she was merely a cautionary figure created to instill fear in children and protect them from the dangers of the wilderness. Today, Black Anis remains a symbol of fear and darkness in English folklore. Her legacy lives on as one of the most terrifying urban legends, reminding people of the thin line between the safety of home and the lurking dangers of the outside world. In the shadowy realm of Latin American folklore, a sinister whisper of the cuckoo stirs unease during the darkest hours. Known as the malevolent counterpart to the benign boogeyman of other cultures, the cuckoo is a creature of nightmares, thriving on the fears of both the young and old. This ghostly monster is no mere invention to coax children into obedience, but a terrifying spectre believed to lurk in the shadows of the night, waiting to snatch away those who dare defy the veil of night stillness. The legend of the cuckoo has been passed down through generations, a chilling narrative that varies slightly from region to region, but maintains its core essence. The cuckoo is a shapeless, shadowy figure, often depicted as a small, hunched being with glowing red eyes that peers through the darkness. It hides in closets, under beds, or in the dense foliage near homes, emerging only when the moon is but a faint glow against the black sky. Parents whisper tales of the cuckoo to their children, warning them not to wander alone at night. The cuckoo, they say, preys on the disobedient and the curious, those children who refuse to sleep when the night deepens, or who venture outside to explore the seductive mysteries of the dark. It is said that once the cuckoo sets its sights on you, escape is nearly impossible. Its presence is always cloaked in the rustling of leaves or the soft creaks of a settling house, its breath a cold gust foretelling doom. Elders in the community speak of their own fearful encounters, of nights filled with inexplicable cold drafts and fleeting shadows seen from the corners of their eyes. They recount stories of friends long gone, spirited away by the cuckoo, leaving behind nothing but a chilling silence and an unspoken warning to heed the boundaries set by the light. It is a creature born from the darkness of the human psyche, a manifestation of the terror of the unknown and the unseen. In the lore of Latin America, the kukui remains a potent symbol of the night's darkest reach, a spectre forever waiting in the shadowy fringes of fear. We dive into the eerie legend of the Chonchon, a mythical creature that haunts the night skies. Let its chilling tale lull you into a peaceful sleep, if you dare. Deep in the shadowy forests of Chile and southern Argentina, an ancient terror lurks in the night. Whispered in hushed tones among villagers, the Chonchon is no ordinary creature. Its very existence defies nature, sending shivers down the spines of those who dare speak its name. Legend has it that the Chonchon is not a bird, but a cursed being, a sorcerer who has performed a dark ritual to transform into this horrifying creature. In the dead of night, the sorcerer's head detaches from its body, sprouting enormous wings from the ears. Blood-curdling cries, like the screams of 1,000 tormented souls, signal its arrival. The sound, known as tutu, chills the air, forewarning death for anyone who hears it. They say the Chonchon soars through the night skies in search of prey, gliding silently above the rooftops of unsuspecting villages. Those unfortunate enough to cross its path rarely live to tell the tale. It is said that the Chonchon can slip into homes undetected, like a whisper on the wind, draining the life force of its victims, leaving them pale and hollow by dawn. Those who survive its attack are left forever haunted, their minds shattered by the encounter. Many have tried to catch a glimpse of the Chonchon, but only a few ever return from their hunts, and those who do are never the same again. Their descriptions are fragmented, as though the horror of what they witnessed burned itself into their minds. The Chonchon's eyes, they say, are glowing red orbs, filled with a malevolent intelligence far older than time. Its wings beat with unnatural silence, a deadly predator slipping through the night like a phantom. It is said that only the most skilled of shamans can undo the curse of the Chonchon, but these rituals are dangerous, and failure means the sorcerer's twisted form will be free to wreak havoc for eternity. To this day, villagers lock their doors and windows tight when they hear the faintest whisper of the Chonchon's cry. The wind, though invisible, might carry death with it, for the Chonchon does not rest. It hungers, always searching for its next victim, always lurking in the darkness, just out of sight. So, beware the stillness of the night, for you may never know if the next faint flap of wings you hear belongs to the Chonchon, until it's too late. In the chilling lore of baseball history, there is one story whispered among fans that never loses its grip: the curse of the Bambino. The legend began in 1919 when the Boston Red Sox, champions of the World Series, made a grave mistake that would doom them for nearly a century. Seeking funds, the team's owner, Harry Frazee, sold their star player, Babe Ruth, to their bitter rivals, the New York Yankees. Known as the Bambino, Ruth was not only Boston's greatest asset, but a force that seemed blessed, touched by an otherworldly power. But this sale was no ordinary transaction. It was a betrayal, an offence to the very spirit of victory. Soon after, Boston's golden age faded. For the next 86 years, as Babe Ruth's star rose with the Yankees, the Red Sox were plagued with failure after failure, endless cycle of defeat, an eternal punishment for the betrayal. The curse of the Bambino was born, and the city felt the shadow of dread every time their team reached the brink of victory, only to be torn down as if by some unseen, malicious hand. Terrifyingly, the curse seemed to manifest in bizarre ways. Balls veered off course at the last second. Players fumbled as if gripped by an invisible force. Even the stadium lights flickered ominously during critical moments. Fans watched with growing unease, knowing something dark loomed over their team. Game after game, year after year, hope turned to horror, then despair, as Boston's beloved team fell to seemingly supernatural misfortune. But in 2004, the impossible happened. The Red Sox, against all odds, won the World Series, breaking the curse. The city rejoiced, yet some fans remained haunted. They wondered, did they truly break the curse, or merely awaken it? Hidden within the eerie expanse of Maple Hill Park in Huntsville, Alabama, lies a playground that few dare to visit after dark. Known as the Dead Children's Playground, it sits in the shadow of Maple Hill Cemetery, where countless lives were lost during the brutal Spanish flu pandemic of 1918. Many of these were children, tiny lives cut short by the merciless wave of illness that swept through the town. Their graves, small and silent, line the edges of the cemetery, just steps away from the playground, where swings now creak and echo through the night. As dusk falls, a haunting atmosphere descends upon the playground. Locals warn that the children who perished here never truly left. Strange occurrences have been reported for years. Swings move on their own, the rusted chains rattling as if gripped by invisible hands. In the sand beneath the slide, visitors find tiny footprints that appear suddenly and disappear just as mysteriously. Some who pass by in the evening hours have claimed to hear faint giggles or the distant sound of children calling out. Voices carried on an unsettling breeze that seems to chill the very air around it. Witnesses describe seeing shadowy figures darting between the playground equipment, flickering in and out of sight like fading memories. A few brave souls have even claimed to catch glimpses of ghostly children, their pale forms just visible in the moonlight, with hollow, haunting eyes fixed on the swings. Others report feeling an icy touch on their shoulders or a tug at their clothing, as if tiny hands were reaching out, desperate to play just once more. Despite the renovations and new equipment, the playground remains a place haunted by sorrow and loss, as if the spirits of the past refuse to let go. It's said that the restless souls of these children are bound to this place, forever drawn to the playground they never had the chance to truly enjoy in life. Visitors leave trinkets, small toys and flowers by the swings, hoping to soothe the spirits that linger. For those who know the tale, the Dead Children's Playground is not merely a place for children's laughter, but a portal to something darker. A reminder that some places are scarred by history, with memories and spirits that will not fade, even as time moves on. In the shadows of Terrell, Texas, whispers and warnings have woven a chilling legend legend through the generations, a tale that clings to the fringes of nightmare and reality. They call her the Candy Lady, but behind the innocuous name lurks a sinister spectre named Clara Crane, whose story has haunted the town for over a century. The legend began in the early 1900s, when children in Tyrrell started to vanish without a trace. Desperate parents scoured the land, dredging the creeks and combing through the thickets, but none could unearth any sign of their missing offspring. As the community groped for answers, a disturbing pattern emerged. Children reported finding candies on their windowsills, pieces of caramels wrapped in crinkling parchment paper, with tiny notes urging them to come out and play. The notes were always signed with a simple, eerie C. Whispered tales from older folks traced the unsettling gifts back to Clara Crane, a woman once known among the townsfolk. Clara, they said, had lived on the fringes of Tyrrell, a reclusive and peculiar widow, whose only solace after the death of her abusive husband was her young daughter. Her life spiralled into darkness when her daughter mysteriously died, with local gossip suggesting foul play. The town shunned her, whispering that she had gone mad with grief, her mind twisted by the tragedy. Some said she blamed the children of Tyrrell for her loss, believing they had enticed her daughter into some fatal mischief. After her daughter's death, Clara vanished into obscurity, leaving only the decrepit shell of her home as a testament to her existence. But the story of the Candy Lady did not end with her disappearance. It was as if her spirit, unquelled by death or reason, continued to seek vengeance. The candies kept appearing, each piece an eerie invitation from beyond the grave. The most unsettling accounts involve letters found with the older children, written as if Clara herself were conversing with them from the shadows. These letters were more sinister, promising the children their fill of sweets in life and in death. It was as if Clara was crafting a congregation of souls, luring the innocent with sugar-coated deceit. Late at night, when the moon cast a ghostly glow across the fields, some claimed to see a figure near the edge of the woods, a silhouette of a woman in a tattered gown, her face obscured by the darkness. They said it was Clara, watching, waiting for her next child to claim. Those who dared to venture too close to the woods at night reported hearing the soft, unsettling melody of a lullaby drifting through the trees, only to be swallowed up by the suffocating silence of the unseen. To this day, the legend of Clara Crane, the Candy Lady, lingers in the air of Tyrrell like a thick fog. Parents tightly secure their windows, wary of the old tale, and remind their children to steer clear of the sweets that might appear unbidden. As Halloween approaches each year, the tension in the town tightens, a collective memory of the loss stirring in the hearts of those who remember. And so, the community watches and waits, the legend of Clara Crane etched deep in their bones, a spectral reminder that some tales are too chilling to be forgotten, and some spirits too vengeful to rest. We unravel a chilling urban legend that will send shivers down your spine. Relax, close your eyes, and listen closely as we explore the celebrity death rule of superstition whispered among those who follow the lives of the rich and famous is known as the celebrity death rule of threes. According to the legend, when one celebrity dies, is never alone. Soon after, another will follow, and then a third, completing the grim trilogy. Some dismiss it as coincidence, but for those who believe, it's a chilling curse that's all too real. It begins with an unexpected death, a movie star, a politician, or a beloved public figure. Their death sends shockwaves through the world, but instead of mourning in peace, those who know the rule brace themselves. The air thickens with dread as everyone watches, waiting for the next famous name to drop. It always happens. A second dies, sometimes in a freak accident, other times from a sudden illness. And before anyone can fully comprehend the loss, a third is gone, sealing the pattern. The media, of course, reports each death as its own tragedy, but those who know the rules sense something more sinister at work. The connections between the deaths seem too eerie to ignore. Sometimes they've all worked together, met each other at events, or shared a strange bond. Other times, the deaths are separated by oceans, yet the pattern persists. 1, 2, 3, like clockwork, the reaper collects his due. Some say the rule traces back to ancient beliefs, where powerful individuals were thought to be marked by destiny, their lives intertwined in mysterious ways. Others believe it's the consequence of fame itself, a dark energy that surrounds those who rise too high. A few even whisper that behind the scenes, there's a secret group that orchestrates these deaths, a shadowy cabal pulling the strings to keep the balance. Whatever the cause, the rule has been proven time and time again. Celebrity after celebrity, politician after politician, falling in threes, as if the universe demands their lives in groups, is a haunting reminder that no matter how famous, how untouchable, no one can escape the inevitable. And the scariest part, it's only a matter of time before the cycle begins again. One dies, and you know, two more will follow, completing the trio before the rule rests. For now. James Dean's untimely death in 1955 left an eerie shadow over Hollywood, a legacy of rebellion and tragedy. But it was not just his passing that stirred the imaginations of millions. It was the dark legend surrounding his beloved Porsche 550 Spider, ominously nicknamed Little Bastard. The car, the very machine in which Dean met his end on a lonely California highway, would go on to become infamous in its own right, woven into a web of curses, accidents, and unexplained events that would haunt anyone who dared come near it. Dean, known for his fascination with speed, had poured his passion into the sleek silver Porsche, a car that felt like an extension of his own persona. Dangerous, alluring, and defiant. Friends warned him about the car, claiming it gave off a sinister aura, but Dean shrugged off their concerns. Some even said they'd had visions of his death behind his wheel. Yet, on September 30th, 1955, as Dean raced down Route 466, Little Bastard met its fate, colliding with another vehicle in a brutal accident that killed him instantly. But while Dean's life ended that day, the story of Little Bastard had only just begun. The wreckage of the car was carted off, twisted and mangled, a ghostly reminder of the tragedy. Yet, for some, the remnants held a dark allure. People began to scavenge parts from the Porsche, hoping to claim a piece of history. But they would soon realise that they had taken more than just a piece of metal. They had inherited a curse. The disaster upon any who dared touch it. The first victim was a mechanic who purchased the car's engine and installed it into his own race car. During his first race with the engine, he lost control, careening off the track and meeting his death in a fiery crash. Another racer, who had taken the transmission from Dean's Porsche, suffered a near-identical fate, his vehicle flipping violently on a seemingly safe track. Both men perished, their deaths eerily mirroring Dean's own tragic end, as if the spirit of Little Bastard demanded more lives. Other parts of the car met equally chilling fates. 2 tyres taken from the Porsche blew out simultaneously, causing the driver's car to swerve off the road and overturn, leaving him gravely injured. Those who witnessed the crash claimed that the tyres had seemed perfectly fine beforehand, as if they'd been sabotaged by an unseen force. Another story tells of a physician who purchased the Porsche's blood-stained seats, hoping to restore them, only to find his home inexplicably caught in a blaze soon after, destroying not only the seats, but his life's belongings. The fire's cause was never determined. The twisted remains of Little Bastard were eventually purchased by car customizer George Barris, who intended to display it as a cautionary symbol. But even as a lifeless display, the Porsche continued its path of destruction. In one instance, it fell off its display stand and crushed a nearby bystander's legs. Another time, it slipped loose from its moorings while being transported and killed a truck driver in a horrific accident. It was as if the car itself resented being confined, lashing out at anyone who dared contain it. The final mystery came in 1960, when Little Bastard was in transit to a museum exhibit. Somewhere along the journey, the cursed wreck simply vanished. No one could account for its disappearance, and to this day, Little Bastard remains lost, its twisted metal and dark history dissolved into thin air. Rumours abound, with some believing the car escaped to fulfill its unholy mission, others saying it was buried to rid the world of its curse, and a few even speculating that it reappears now and then, hidden in a collector's vault, waiting to be unleashed once more. The tale of Little Bastard endures, an urban legend of fear and fascination Ultimately, the baby train remains a playful legend, a reminder of how easily a funny story can take on a life of its own, even when it's based on nothing more than a clever idea. While there may not be a real town with a baby boom caused by a train whistle, the legend endures as an example of how myths and tales can blend everyday life with unexpected outcomes. Tonight, let me guide you into the shadows of ancient Spain, where the chilling legend of the Castilian lisp unfolds. Relax, close your eyes, and let the whispers of history lull you to sleep. In the dark corners of Spain's forgotten history, a chilling tale has lingered for centuries, whispered among locals and passed down from generation to generation. Is the legend of the Castilian lisp, a haunting story that, while discredited by scholars, continues to send shivers down the spines of those who hear it. Long ago, in a time when kings ruled with an iron fist and the boundaries between myth and reality were blurred, there was a king unlike any other. His name has been lost to the shadows of time, but his affliction, an unmistakable lisp, would echo across Spain, leaving a trail of fear and confusion in its wake. The king's speech was strange, almost inhuman, as though something had cursed his very words. His voice carried an eerie sibilance, a sound that cut through the air like the hiss of a snake. The court, terrified of the king's wrath, dared not speak of his speech defect, but whispers of dark magic and ancient curses spread beyond the castle walls, infecting the imagination of the populace. It was said that the king's lisp was no mere quirk of speech, but the result of a sinister pact made with forces beyond this world. Some claimed he had bargained with a demon for power, and in return his tongue was twisted, forcing him to speak in a way that no one else could. Others believed that a vengeful witch had cursed him, condemning his voice to forever sound as though it were tethered to the underworld. As the legend goes, the king was a man of great influence, and no one dared to correct his speech. Instead, out of fear, the courtiers and nobles began to mimic the king's pronunciation. His strange lisp spread like a disease, infecting the tongues of those who sought to curry favour with the crown. Soon, it was said, the entire kingdom spoke as their king did, their voices carrying the cursed sound of the theatre. The streets echoed with the eerie lisp, a constant reminder of the dark secret lurking in Spain's past. Children grew up speaking the language of the damned, unaware of the malevolent forces that had shaped their words. Though historians have debunked this tale as pure fantasy, the legend persists, a chilling reminder of how even the most benign of sounds can carry with them the weight of a curse. The next time you hear the soft hiss of a theatre in Spanish speech, remember the tale of the cursed king and wonder what dark power still lingers behind the sound. Tonight, we explore the struck blind or cursed. Another part of the legend states that if someone sat on Aggie's lap at midnight, they would either die within a year or be haunted by the statue. It was also rumoured that the shadow of Black Aggie would cause nearby grass to wither and die. Due to the growing number of ghostly tales and instances of vandalism, Black Aggie became a focal point for thrill seekers and paranormal enthusiasts. Many visited the statue either to test the legend or to experience the supernatural aura that surrounded it. The stories grew, further embedding Black Aggie into Maryland's folklore. Eventually, the statue was removed from the cemetery in 1967 to put an end to the disturbances it caused. Though the statue itself is gone, the legend of Black Aggie continues to captivate imaginations, with people still sharing stories of the haunted statue and the eerie events that took place in Druid Ridge Cemetery. This calming bedtime tale will explore the curious urban legend of the 999 phone charging myth, a story about a phone trick that never quite worked but sparked imaginations. Relax and enjoy. The 999 phone charging myth is a widely circulated urban legend, particularly in the United Kingdom, that claims calling 999, the UK's emergency services number, can magically charge a mobile phone's battery. According to the myth, dialing the number and then immediately hanging up is supposed to give your phone an instant boost of power, effectively extending its battery life. This claim, although entirely false, has been surprisingly persistent, with many people over the years believing or at least wondering if there's some truth to it. While the exact origin of the myth is unclear, it likely began circulating in the early days of mobile phones, when people were still learning the nuances of how these devices worked. Some suggest it may have originated from confusion around how phones access emergency services even when they appear to have no signal or very low battery. This feature, which allows phones to make emergency calls even in unfavorable conditions, may have been misunderstood, leading to the belief that calling 999 somehow recharges the phone. In the age of social media, the myth gained new life. People posted about their experiences trying the trick, and discussions on online forums, blogs, and social networks helped spread the false information further. The myth was particularly appealing because it offered a seemingly quick fix to a common problem: a dying phone battery at an inconvenient time. The reality is that calling 999 does not charge your phone. Mobile phones are powered by batteries that require electrical charging from an external source, like a wall socket, power bank, or USB connection. Emergency numbers like 999, 911, or 112 do not have the capability to transmit any form of electrical charge to a mobile device. The idea that merely making a phone call could restore battery life is not supported by any scientific or technical evidence. In fact,
manages to connect it to a power source, no phone call, emergency or otherwise, will change that. In summary, the 999 phone charging myth is just that, a myth. It's essential to understand how mobile phones function and to avoid making false calls to emergency numbers, ensuring that emergency services remain available for those who truly need them.
Tonight's story takes us to the mysterious legend of the Bunny Man, a figure lurking in the shadows with an axe in hand. Close your eyes, relax, and let this eerie tale drift you to sleep. The Bunny Man is an eerie urban legend that took root in Fairfax County, Virginia in 1970 and has since spread across the Washington, D.C. area. The story has been retold in many forms, but the core of the legend centres around a mysterious figure dressed in a rabbit costume, referred to as the Bunny Man, who reportedly terrorises people with an axe. The legend is said to have originated from two strange incidents. The first took place in October 1970, when a young couple parked their car near a secluded area to talk. Suddenly, a man in a bunny suit appeared out of nowhere, wielding an axe. He angrily yelled at them about trespassing on his property before smashing the car window with the axe. Fortunately, the couple was able to drive away unharmed, but the encounter left them shaken. The second incident occurred just 10 days later. A security guard noticed a man dressed in a similar rabbit costume standing on the porch of a newly built home. The Bunny Man allegedly began hacking away at the structure with an axe, yelling that the house was built on his land. By the time authorities arrived, the Bunny Man had vanished, leaving behind a scene of destruction and confusion. From these two reports, the legend of the Bunny Man grew, and with it, many variations began to emerge. Some versions of the tale claim that the Bunny Man is the ghost of an escaped mental patient who had a psychotic break and now haunts the area, seeking revenge on anyone who crosses his path. Others suggest that the Bunny Man is still alive, lurking in the woods of Virginia, waiting for the next unsuspecting victim. The most notorious version of the legend involves the Bunny Man Bridge, a secluded railway overpass near Clifton, Virginia.